Hey guys, so as I explained in the Why I've Been Gone video, towards the end of my stay with my uncle I had to get out of the house quite a few times, so I decided to treat myself to something I wasn't able to do a lot and watch various movies, and I've been watching a lot of singular movies recently, although that's going to go down in upcoming times, but I thought I'd discuss them all since I don't really do that great of a job of talking about singular movies. This is going to be all but one of them that'll have its own separate video. So first one I'm talking about is London Has Fallen, the sequel to Olympus Has Fallen. Now, what are my thoughts on White House Down versus Olympus Has Fallen? I honestly preferred White House Down, although I'm sure that's because I saw it first. I do think Olympus Has Fallen is better acted, but I felt like Aaron Eckhart as the president was kind of wooden and a little stupid in that movie, and then the villain's plan just didn't really impress me. White House Down at least had a couple of surprises with the villain's plan, so yeah. And what did I think about this movie? I liked it about as much as the first one, although it was a fairly different movie because this had a lot more action in it and a lot more humor. But fortunately, it did have Aaron Eckhart doing a little bit more in here, even though it's obviously more about the other guy. I'm totally blanking on his name right now. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be kicking me for that, but yeah, it was a nice movie to sit through. I got what I wanted, which was a fun movie, and yeah. 3 out of 5, I think, because it doesn't really merit that many rewatches. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Olympus does have a tiny bit more rewatchability. Yeah. Next one is a 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, I'm somebody that actually liked the original Cloverfield because I don't really mind found footage movies because I feel like we get to experience close to the same emotions as the people holding these objects do. And I'm willing to turn my brain out for how they found the footage. I mean, like, come on, people, just go with the flow. It's like watching us reviewers or vloggers here. They just turn on the camera and you just go with the flow of it, okay? Sheesh. So it was a bit of a shock to me when I learned that this wasn't a found footage movie, and I went into this movie kind of cold, so it took me by quite a few surprises. But I gotta admit, I did like it, although I didn't think I would at first, because when we start off with movies that only involve, like, 3 to 8 people, it just... At first, it doesn't set itself up to be that interesting, but then people do deliver on solid performances, and they did here. There was some nice questions to be had as to what you would do in that situation, fairly clever plot twists that I wouldn't have thought of, and an ending that I didn't really see coming, although at the same time I do find it to be a little forced. And to the idea that this movie is, part of an anthology series, I think that's a nice idea, although I could have sworn I saw something a couple of days ago that indicated Abrams was trying to develop a direct sequel to Cloverfield. I don't really know about that. Whatever. Abrams can do what he wants to, yeah. As for rating that movie, 4 out of 5, although like with London, I don't think it merits too many rewatches. This one, it's more for like an acting class possibly, I don't know. Then there's the new Jungle Book movie, and I was pleasantly surprised by it, because sure, it's marketed towards younger kids, but from the trailers I got the sense that there might be a little bit more seriousness in this movie than the Disney movie, which I've never fully seen. I have seen the big moments in it, each individual song, a little bit of in-between bits, and the ending. So as I was watching this, I go, this is actually pretty interesting. They're showing other characters a tiny bit more than I think they did in the Disney movie. They're describing the origins of various characters a little bit more. Doing a very good job of actually incorporating some of the classic songs, but not doing it in a way that's overblown, making me laugh, making me nervous. I was actually real darn impressed by it, yeah. I bet I'm gonna look at the Disney movie now and just go, what the heck is this? Yeah, totally. I was just, whoa, yeah. 4.5 out of 5, I think. Why am I doing it 5? Well, it's kind of tough for a movie to get 5 out of 5, but it's actually, I don't think, nearly as difficult to get 4.5, you know? Right. Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. Now, I did see the original, but that was like 11 or 12 years ago, that kind of thing, so I wasn't nearly old enough to appreciate the humor in there, although I do remember the basic plot of it and a couple of the Windex bits. Yeah, but I came in here more hoping for a comedy than a romance movie, to be honest, because the trailer did have me laughing, and that's pretty much what I got. I was laughing my face off in the theater along with the other 12 people that were there. We were just going, oh, cool. And yeah. But as for actual plots in the movie, I was impressed with how much that they were able to put in there and not make it too overblown, although at the same time I do feel like a couple of things that they did were a little not stupid, but not the greatest thing that they could have done, because how they end the main character's daughter's story arc, just a lot of it you can see coming, and she's more in the movie just to be there. It's more about everybody else. They're just trying to illustrate that, you know, an entire generation has passed almost, basically. So she is kind of needed, but I kind of wish they had done a little different with her, but it is tough, you know. And then the whole business of the main woman's father's, marriage contract not being signed this whole time. Really? It's just a piece of paper, just, but of course I'm not married, so yeah. What am I going to rate that? Probably 3 out of 5, but as I said, I treat it more as a comedy, yeah. And if you like it more than I did, or have totally different feelings about it, hey, I don't remember really that much from the first one, so I was judging it on its own. Right. Next movie is Miracles from Heaven with Jennifer Garner. So, I actually didn't hear about the true story that this movie was based on, and I didn't really feel like looking it up, although I don't think I'd be too opposed to reading the book that it's based on, because I've grown a lot less adverse, shall we say, to reading nonfiction, because I've read a couple of memoirs for college classes and found them to be pretty interesting, so I might read this one, yeah. But what did I think of the movie? I felt like it was a fairly realistic thing, although there were certain bits in the movie that I didn't necessarily like there's this one moment where Jennifer Garner is getting confronted by a member at her church, which she's attended for years, and they go, well, have you ever considered that it might have been something you've done to lead God deciding for your child to get sick? Are you freaking serious? People get sick. Some people can be perfectly healthy all their lives, and then all of a sudden develop conditions that are really tricky to fix, okay? Just deal with it, okay? There is no rhyme or reason for it. It just happens. Jeez. Right. And I'm not going to really go into the big philosophical debate of do I believe in miracles or not. That's not what this video is about, but I thought it was fairly well acted. Not necessarily my kind of movie, but I don't think I'm any worse out for seeing it. I'm going to go 4 out of 5, but that's more on a critique scale. I don't think I'm really likely to rewatch this movie unless I'm looking for something specific, Right. I also checked out the comedy Mother's Day, because I was kind of running out of movies to watch, and I go, well, this might be a fun comedy, and overall impression with that movie was that the first 25 minutes, they kind of sucked, because, we have to get used to everybody, and then figure out the relationship with each other. This was kind of a different version of Love, Actually. But after those first 25 minutes, the movie began to get a lot better as people began to move along in their story arcs, although I do feel like there was more into this movie than there needed to be, and we didn't need every single story arc, because the one involving Julia Roberts, we could have done without that story arc, okay, and still keep her character in the movie, because she didn't just talk to the young girl trying to find her biological mother. I don't remember characters' names, but you guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie, alright? So, right. And, I did laugh my face off, enjoyed various bits, face planted in various others, but that's kind of what I signed up for, I wanted a comedy, I got me a comedy. 3 out of 5, although I know that some of you are going to be going, oh my god, you are being way too generous with that. Well, guys, I don't think I'm going to be watching this movie for a couple of years now, okay? And I only watched it mainly because I had time to kill. I don't really watch movies in theaters because, one, it's too expensive. I've got things going on in my life, and why would I pay $10 to watch a movie in a theater when I could get a lot of TV seasons on DVD or Blu-ray for that price? Huh? Right. Another one I checked out was Criminal, the one that stars Ryan Reynolds in a brief role along with, what's-his-face, Gary Oldman, and I think it was Kevin Costner in the main role. I was actually pretty darn shocked by that movie, to tell you the truth, because how they made the main idea behind the movie work and how they exploited it throughout the movie, I gotta admit, that was actually pretty interesting. And then the whole idea of how you can take a person who's committed bad acts all of his life, albeit because of some kind of immatureness or mental disability, and how you install the memories of another person actually manages to dull him down and actually really boosts his intelligence. Just whoa! And then some of the twists and turns and kind of double bluffs that occurred in here, that was interesting. But at the same time, a little bit of Kevin Costner's actions with a Ryan Reynolds' wife I don't know if I completely 100% buy all the emotion that goes between those two, if you can call that emotion. But obviously, I'm not there. I haven't been through unique experiences that they've been through, and I've never been married. Heck, I haven't even had a girlfriend. Hey, I'm not doing a sob story. I'm stating honest facts here, okay? Right. But ultimately, I thought it was a very clever movie. Doesn't merit too many rewatches, but a solid movie throughout. I'll go 4 out of 5, I think. I don't know. I don't review single movies too much, so maybe my scale is completely off the charts. I wouldn't know, okay? Yeah. Then there's the movie Keanu, which stars those two black comedic people. I can never remember their term for it. Again, I felt like I might as well check out a comedy, although it was actually much better than I expected it to be. It had a solid plot, not too bad humor, although they were a little bit over the top with a couple of the jokes in there, although I can't necessarily remember which scenes necessarily. Even though, given the culture that they're trying to show in the movie, drug culture, I mean, you kind of have to do a little bit of it. Yeah. So ultimately, I was fairly impressed by it. As for a rating, I gotta be honest, I don't know if I can really rate this particular one, because when I left that theater that day, I was real darn conflicted on how I would rate it, and then I ended up forgetting about it later that day, the battle that was going through my mind, and now I really can't think of anything, so rate it whatever the heck you feel like, huh? I don't think I'm ever going to own it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again a good ways down the line. Right. Then there's the Huntsmen movies, which are all the Snow White things, so, because I was running out of movies, I decided to check out Winter's War, but I didn't want to just jump into it, even though it is perfectly possible to do that, because I don't feel like there's too many ties to Snow White and the Huntsman, but I decided to watch that particular movie, and overall, I did like that movie, because, it's a darker version of a story that we're all fairly familiar with, so to see everything behave a little bit different and arguably in a more realistic fashion, I did like that, because I did get menace from the evil queen that's in here, albeit you kind of have to give her more menace, and it's very unfair to compare this to the original Snow White movie. I should probably compare it a little bit more to whatever fairy tale it's based on, because that's the funny thing about all of those old Disney movies. They're based on much darker stories. Yeah, I just can't stop cracking up about that my childhood is based on dark stuff. And we thought that was dark, right? Oh no, we were so wrong, right? Yeah. But I did like that movie, but I got two gripes. Well, no, three gripes with it. One, some of the things that they were a little bit contrived, but I've gradually learned as I've gotten older, it's kind of stupid to keep stating that movie plots are contrived, because you can argue that for almost any movie. It's just like my saying that the most pointless thing out there is the word pointless. Figure that out. Then number two, the magic mirror, kind of being its own entity, even though the original Snow White movie hinted at that, just, I don't know if I totally suit well with that, to be honest. Just, something about that just didn't click, even though it did give the movie a little bit of a scarier edge. And then a Kristen Stewart, or Snow White, whatever you want to call her. How the heck is she so able to command people when she was locked in that tower for at least 10 years, even though I think it's more like 14 years? Just, her father had taught her that much at that young age? Now, to be fair, okay? It could be that you don't grow up that much in your toddler years and then you sprout up in later years. Trust me, that does happen to people, but I just don't get how she's so educated, and all that stuff. Just, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I really wouldn't know. So that was an issue I had with it. So going into this particular movie, based on the trailer, I got the idea that this would be a lot more adventure fantasy kind of thing, and probably not super interesting, although I was curious to see how Emily Blunt would tie into this, and then having it be the Evil Queen's sister. I felt like that was kind of creative. And then the origin story, even though it is a little stupid, at the same time, it does hit home. And I don't think it was too bad of an idea. And this movie did have some nice humorous moments, which would make sense given how they're aiming for a lighter movie, so I was glad to see that. But then, after we hit the halfway point, things began to kind of unravel, because Chris Hemsworth and his girlfriend, for lack of a better term, because I can't really call them married in that situation, so him and his girlfriend, a couple of their arguments that did get repetitive, even though there is valid reasons for them to distrust each other. Okay? Because how can you both know that you had an illusion when you're so sure it's real? Because that's the thing. Illusion, by definition, I'm pretty sure does mean something that you think is real and yet is not. And then the reintroduction of the Evil Queen, was that really necessary? I mean, there wouldn't have been any other real way to solve Emily Blunt's problem other than flat out killing her, which Hemsworth might have been able to do. But just, did you have to bring her back from the dead? And the explanation of how they could bring her back from the dead, that makes the mirror a lot more creepy than he was in the first movie. And just, I just do not buy that at all. And then all this talk about, invade Snow White's land. Well, here's the thing. The only time they show Snow White in this movie is, one scene that happens in another character's mind, and it's just her on the ground flashing around a little bit, because Kristen Stewart didn't want to reprise her role, or they didn't want her back, one of the two. I've heard both of those stories, but if you're going to keep discussing, oh yeah, we're going to totally invade Snow White's land and conquer her, and never show Snow White, you're not going to even start invading Snow White's land. You can't claim that someone is under threat without showing them if you're going to actually get anywhere with that. I knew that they were never going to leave Emily Blunt's castle. Sheesh. Although that was actually a tender moment when Emily Blunt died, even though I think this is one of her worser film roles, because I do like Emily Blunt from what I've seen of her, which I don't think is that much. There's some drug movie that goes to Mexico, the Tom Cruise movie with a time loop, the Boudica adaptation, and I think that's it, So, since I had to kill some time, the movie worked, but I didn't really like it that much. I'll go with 2 out of 5, to be honest, because it doesn't really matter. We watched the first one doesn't matter that much for a rewatch, but I think is a little bit more solid than this movie. Yeah.